This lesson is for solving equations. So number one is one-step equations. So we are going to, I want to get this x all by itself, so do 3, so we subtract 3 from both sides. Again, you're doing the opposite, so since it says plus 3, we're subtracting 3. So they cancel, positive 3 minus 3 is 0, so my blank is the x. 27 minus 3 is 24. So your answer is 24. You can obviously sub 24 back in there and check your work. 24 plus 3 is 27. Next one, again, we're doing the opposite. You're subtracting 10, so I'm adding that one. Whoops. That's 40. Then moving on, multiplying, dividing. To get rid of this 6 multiplied by x, we need to divide. So you divide both sides by 6. Don't be scared to use a calculator. I would rather you use a calculator than make a silly mistake. So that is x is equal to 12. Again, if you sub that back in, 6 times 12 is 72. Now the next one, we're dividing x by 6. So the opposite of dividing is multiply. So you can show it differently, but that's how I show my multiplying. So the 6's cancel, so all I have left is x is equal to 8 times 6 is 48.
Brooke Steiger, please come to the front office. Your right is here. Brooke Steiger.
So now we're doing two-step equations. Now the thing is, you do the order of operation if you're simplifying a problem, but when you're solving it, you're doing it backwards, working backwards to find the x. I guess I should say it this way. You do the order of operations when you're trying to find the answer to a problem. We know the answer to this one's 29. We're working backwards to find this variable, and so we do the order of operations backwards. So most of you guys remember this from Algebra 1, but just in case it helps, please excuse my dear Aunt Sue. And MD and AS, add, subtract, multiply, divide, go together. So we're doing this backwards. So we usually start with parentheses. So now the parentheses are the last thing we do. So we are going to do adding and subtracting first. So that's where we get rid of this 8. Then we can divide by 3. Number 6, we get rid of that 7. So we add 7. Again, we have to do that first before we multiply or divide. Oops, it's not super clean. And 7 plus 12 is 19. And then now we have to x over 4, so it's divided by 4, so we multiply by 4. So that cancels. We get x is equal to 19 times 4 is 76. Moving on to the last one, we subtract 5. Now this is where a lot of people get confused. So we have minus 2x is equal to 33 minus 5 is 28. You are not adding 2 to this. A lot of people accidentally add 2. No, that is a negative 2. It's negative 2 multiplied by x. So we actually negative 2. So divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. X is equal to negative 14. So these are the you do problems. So go ahead, pause the video, do these on your own. Once you're done, hit play so you can check your answers. Two plus 7 is 69. X is equal to 8. Please round it 2 decimal places unless I tell you otherwise, but this one you only need 1 decimal. So the next one, we're subtracting 9. (25 minus 9 is 16. And then again, we have that 3 that's in the denominator, so we're dividing, so we need to multiply. So x is equal to 16 times 3 is 48. And number 10, add 7, negative 4, x is equal to 47 plus 7 is 54. Divide both sides by negative 4. Got a decimal for that one too, that is okay. So these are now variables on both sides, so they're multiple step equations. So there are actually 4 different ways you can do for all these, and you'll still get the right answer. It doesn't matter which way you go first. But these are one of the ones I always recommend. I think it's easier this way, and you can do some of it my way and finish it your way, or whatever you want to do. Just make sure you're showing work so I know that you are doing this logically. So the very first step is step 0, and that's to put a dotted line right here. You don't actually have to do that. That's why I put it as step 0. But I know a lot of students find the benefit to that. Excuse me. So the very first step is combine like terms on the right and left side. We're not crossing the equal sign. So there's no like terms to combine here, so we don't have to do that step. So go ahead and skip to step 2. Step 2, combine your variables across the equal sign. So again, there's different ways you can do this, but I'm going to combine my variables. Now you do not have to do it this way, but I think it's nice to keep it positive. So the reason I added 2 to both sides is because now we have 3p minus 7. If you subtracted p from both sides, that's fine. You just end up with negative 3p, and you'll have to deal with that a little bit later. So I like to keep it positive. Combine your numbers. Numbers are the 7s. So it's the opposite. So that's 18. And then go, excuse me, multiply or divide to finish this. Most of the time it's dividing, although, I mean, it could be multiplying. It's just most of the time it's dividing. So p is equal to 6. I apologize. I can't read my handwriting here. So same thing with this other one. Again, you could subtract 8a from both sides, but I'm going to do 6 because it ends up positive. Also, if you want to change those a's to x's, if that makes you more comfortable, by all means do that. 2a is equal to 6. Oops, divide by 2. My a is equal to 3. And even these big ones, you could plug that 3 into that, check your work. I'm not going to take time to do that. Step 1 is combine them that are on the same side of the equal sign. So 4x minus 1 doesn't do much. So 6x and negative 8 is negative 2x. Really. We're going here. Combined, so that is 8 and 15 is 33. Six plus 1 is equal to 33. 4, divide both sides by 6. Apparently we get another decimal. Or I did something wrong, which is very possible. Oh, I bet you I did. So you guys probably see this. I'm going to caught it. 8. Oh, let me see this. 8 and 15 make 23, not 33. I'm talking about if you go 24, divide that, and x is equal to 4. A lot of combining here. We have negative 6. Again, you're not doing those across the equal sign, so you're not subtracting 6 from both sides or 5, like you're not doing minus 6 minus 6. That's not right. You just combine them. So negative 13 plus 5 plus 6. Negative 2. So that is 4n plus 1. Subtract n from both sides. Sorry about that. Divide both sides by 3. we end up with -1 is equal to n. Or n is equal to -1. Doesn't actually matter what order you go in. So again, do these two on your own. Go ahead and hit pause so you can do them. The best way is to do that rather than just keep copying me. Pause it, do these on your own, and then hit play or see the answers. You can fast forward if you want to save some time. We end up with this one looks a little bit more involved. 6p. -1 is equal to 2p by 2. We get p is equal to 5. All right, moving on. So these are some weird ones, and we are not going to actually solve any. Like, we won't have any like these problems up here. That one. But sorry again. So we will do this later when problems. Oh my gosh. Okay. So when we solve problems, it'll end up looking like this, but we'll do that later. We don't have to worry about it now. So I just want you to know this concept because later, once we start in chapter 1, we will have some of these that you have to solve, and then they'll end up like this. So if you ever solve a problem and you end up with all your variables canceling, so whether they're x's or a's or w's or n's or whatever, p's, if all your variables cancel and you end up with something like this, 15 is equal to 15, there's no variables left, so you have to ask yourself, is this actually true or is this false? Is 15 equal to 15? And that is yes, it's true. Since it's numbers, I should specify, all real numbers. So if you ever have a statement where there's no variables and it is true, that means it's all real numbers. If you have a statement false, 12 equal to 8, that's not true at all. That's false. That means it's no solution or no real numbers. We will go into a little bit more detail with that later and what all real numbers mean and what no solutions mean. But for right now, the thing I want you to realize is that there's no variables and it's just two numbers. There's no x's or y's or anything. If it's true, it's all real numbers. If it's false, it's no solution. If you have where you have x is equal to 0, a lot of people panic with this one, but that's just x is equal to 0. That's not no solution or all real numbers. That's actually, I mean, 0 is a number. X is equal to that 0. So don't panic about that. And again, that'll come into play a little bit more when we're solving. But that's it for this lesson. Then we'll move on to the next one where we're doing inequalities. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know.